Would you destroy your best friend's company if you discovered she'd been secretly recording you for 5 years to steal your business ideas? The recording device was tiny, smaller than a thumb drive, hidden in the decorative pen holder on my desk, the one Maya had given me for my birthday 3 years ago. For all your brilliant ideas, she'd written on the card. I found it by accident, knocked the pen holder over reaching for my phone, watched it break apart on the floor, and there it was, a small black device with a blinking red light, recording. I picked it up with shaking hands, turned it over. Professional grade, the kind corporate espionage people use, not some cheap spy store gadget. Maya had bugged my office. My best friend since college, the person I'd trusted with everything, had been recording me in my own office for who knows how long. I sat on the floor surrounded by broken ceramic and pens, trying to make sense of what I was holding, trying to find an innocent explanation that didn't exist. This was March 2024. I'd been running my startup, Innovate Solutions, for 7 years. We developed workflow optimization software for mid-sized companies, growing steadily, making good money. Not huge yet, but getting there. Maya was my best friend, had been since we met in business school 15 years ago. We'd been through everything together. Bad relationships, career struggles, family drama. She was my person, the friend you call at 2 a.m., the one who shows up with wine when life falls apart. She worked in tech too, senior product manager at a larger company. Different industries, so we weren't competitors. We'd grab coffee twice a week, talk about work challenges, brainstorm solutions, share ideas freely because we trusted each other completely. Or I'd trusted her. Apparently, that trust had been spectacularly misplaced. I took the recording device home, spent that evening figuring out how to access the files. It had a USB connection, plug and play. The folder contained 2,847 audio files dating back 5 years. 5 years of Maya secretly recording me. I started with the most recent file, played it with my headphones on, hands clenched, barely breathing. It was our coffee meeting from 3 days ago. Clear audio, my voice talking about a new feature I was developing, AI-powered workflow prediction, revolutionary stuff, proprietary algorithms I've been working on for 8 months. Maya's voice asking questions. How does the prediction model work? What datasets are you using? Have you filed for patents yet? I answered everything, explained my entire approach, shared details I hadn't even told my development team yet, because I trusted Maya, because friends help friends think through problems. Except Maya wasn't helping. Maya was gathering intelligence. I played another file, then another. Months of conversations, years of me sharing ideas, challenges, breakthroughs. Maya always asking pointed questions, always interested, always supportive, always recording. I checked the timestamps, cross-referenced them with my calendar. Every coffee meeting, every lunch, every time Maya had stopped by my office just to catch up. All recorded, all documented. 5 years of systematic corporate espionage disguised as friendship. Then I did something that made my stomach drop. I Googled Maya's company, the one she'd started 2 years ago, Momentum Tech. I'd been so proud of her when she left her corporate job to start her own company, cheered her on, gave her advice, introduced her to contacts, celebrated her early successes. I looked at Momentum Tech's website with new eyes, read their product descriptions, their features, their value propositions. They were all mine. Every single innovation Momentum Tech had launched was something I'd told Maya about first, sometimes months before she launched it, sometimes years. My workflow optimization idea from 2019, Momentum Tech launched it in 2020. My client onboarding automation, Momentum Tech's version came out 6 months after I described it to Maya. My predictive analytics dashboard, currently in beta at Momentum Tech. I'd told Maya about it in January, she launched beta in February. She hadn't just stolen one idea, she'd stolen everything, my entire product roadmap, 5 years of innovation, launched at her company before I could launch at mine. And she'd done it so smoothly I'd never suspected, never questioned why her products looked similar to ideas I'd mentioned, never noticed the timing, never saw the pattern, because she was my best friend. Friends don't steal from each other. Except Maya had been stealing from me for 5 years, while smiling to my face and asking me to trust her with more. I spent that night going through every file, building a timeline, creating spreadsheets matching my disclosed ideas to Momentum Tech's product launches. The correlation was perfect, undeniable. Every major innovation at Momentum Tech corresponded to a conversation where I'd shared that exact idea with Maya. She'd been using our friendship as industrial espionage, using me as her unpaid R&D department, building her company on my stolen innovations. The financial impact was staggering. I checked Momentum Tech's Tech's funding rounds, they'd raised $12 million in venture capital based on products I'd invented, based on innovations they'd stolen from me. My company had struggled to get funding for those same ideas. VCs said the market was too crowded, that the ideas weren't novel enough, that Momentum Tech was already doing similar things. Of course they were already doing similar things, because Maya was stealing my ideas and launching them first, making my innovations look derivative when they were original, undercutting my value proposition with stolen intellectual property. I'd been sabotaging my own company by telling my best friend my plans, and she'd been profiting from my trust for 5 years. I spent that night going through every file, building a timeline, creating spreadsheets matching my disclosed ideas to Momentum Tech's product launches. The correlation was perfect, undeniable. Every major innovation at Momentum Tech corresponded to a conversation where I'd shared that exact idea with Maya. She'd been using our friendship as industrial espionage, using me as her unpaid R&D department, building her company on my stolen innovations. The financial impact was staggering. I checked Momentum Tech's funding rounds. They'd raised $12 million in venture capital based on products I'd invented, based on innovations they'd stolen from me. My company had struggled to get funding for those same ideas. VCs said the market was too crowded, that the ideas weren't novel enough, that Momentum Tech was already doing similar things. Of course they were already doing similar things, because Maya was stealing my ideas and launching them first, making my innovations look derivative when they were original, undercutting my value proposition with stolen intellectual property. I'd been sabotaging my own company by telling my best friend my plans, and she'd been profiting from my trust for 5 years. I spent that night going through every file, building a timeline, creating spreadsheets matching my disclosed ideas to Momentum Tech's product launches. The correlation was perfect, undeniable. Every major innovation at Momentum Tech corresponded to a conversation where I'd shared that exact idea with Maya. She'd been using our friendship as industrial espionage, using me as her unpaid R&D department, building her company on my stolen innovations. The financial impact was staggering. I checked Momentum Tech's funding rounds. They'd raised $12 million in venture capital based on products I'd invented, based on innovations they'd stolen from me. My company had struggled to get funding for those same ideas. VCs said the market was too crowded, that the ideas weren't novel enough, that Momentum Tech was already doing similar things. Of course they were already doing similar things, because Maya was stealing my ideas and launching them first, making my innovations look derivative when they were original, undercutting my value proposition with stolen intellectual property. I'd been sabotaging my own company by telling my best friend my plans, and she'd been profiting from my trust for 5 years. I spent that night going through every file, building a timeline, creating spreadsheets matching my disclosed ideas to Momentum Tech's product launches. The correlation was perfect, undeniable. Every major innovation at Momentum Tech corresponded to a conversation where I'd shared that exact idea with Maya. She'd been using our friendship as industrial espionage, using me as her unpaid R&D department, building her company on my stolen innovations. The financial impact was staggering. I checked Momentum Tech's funding rounds. They'd raised $12 million in venture capital based on products I'd invented, based on innovations they'd stolen from me. My company had struggled to get funding for those same ideas. VCs said the market was too crowded, that the ideas weren't novel enough, that Momentum Tech was already doing similar things. Of course they were already doing similar things, because Maya was stealing my ideas and launching them first, making my innovations look derivative when they were original, undercutting my value proposition with stolen intellectual property. I'd been sabotaging my own company by telling my best friend my plans, and she'd been profiting from my trust for 5 years. I spent that night going through every file, building a timeline, creating spreadsheets matching my disclosed ideas to Momentum Tech's product launches. The correlation was perfect, undeniable. Every major innovation at Momentum Tech corresponded to a conversation where I'd shared that exact idea with Maya. She'd been using our friendship as industrial espionage, using me as her unpaid R&D department, building her company on my stolen innovations. The financial impact was staggering. I checked Momentum Tech's funding rounds. They'd raised $12 million in venture capital based on products I'd invented, based on innovations they'd stolen from me. My company had struggled to get funding for those same ideas. VCs said the market was too crowded, that the ideas weren't novel enough, that Momentum Tech was already doing similar things. Of course they were already doing similar things, because Maya was stealing my ideas and launching them first, making my innovations look derivative when they were original, undercutting my value proposition with stolen intellectual property. I'd been sabotaging my own company by telling my best friend my plans, and she'd been profiting from my trust for 5 years. I spent that night going through every file, building a timeline, creating spreadsheets matching my disclosed ideas to Momentum Tech's product launches. The correlation was perfect, undeniable. Every major innovation at Momentum Tech corresponded to a conversation where I'd shared that exact idea with Maya. She'd been using our friendship as industrial espionage, using me as her unpaid R&D department, building her company on my stolen innovations. The financial impact was staggering. I checked Momentum Tech's funding rounds. They'd raised $12 million.
For 2 weeks, I acted completely normal, met Maya for coffee like always, smiled, laughed, shared ideas that were actually fake, deliberate misinformation designed to test if she was still recording me. She was. I found a second device hidden in a plant she'd given me, a third in a picture frame. Maya had bugged my entire office with multiple redundant recording systems. The woman was thorough, I had to give her that. During one coffee meeting, I mentioned a breakthrough in blockchain integration for workflow management. Total nonsense. Blockchain had nothing to do with my actual work, but I described it enthusiastically, made it sound revolutionary. 2 weeks later, Momentum Tech announced a new blockchain initiative, exactly as I'd described it. She'd taken the bait, confirmed she was still actively using the recordings, still stealing in real time. Perfect, because now I had evidence of ongoing theft, not just historical, harder for her to claim she'd stopped or reformed. My lawyer filed the lawsuit on a Thursday morning, comprehensive, brutal, 40 pages of claims supported by hundreds of pages of evidence. We sued Momentum Tech and Maya personally, claimed trade secret misappropriation, breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, violation of wiretapping statutes, requested injunctive relief, compensatory damages, punitive damages, and attorney's fees. We also filed for an emergency temporary restraining order to prevent destruction of evidence, asked the court to seize Momentum Tech's servers and devices pending trial. The judge granted it, same day, appointed a special master to take custody of Momentum Tech's digital assets immediately. Maya called me 17 times in 2 hours. I didn't answer, let her panic, let her wonder what I knew and how I knew it. Finally, she texted, "What's happening? Why are lawyers at my office? Why are they taking our servers? What did you do?" I replied, "I found the recording devices, all of them. I know everything. The lawyers can explain the rest." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. She tried calling again. I blocked her number. The next day, the story hit TechRedia. Startup founder sues former friend for $15 million, alleges 5 years of corporate espionage. My phone exploded. Reporters, investors, colleagues, everyone wanting to know if it was true, if my best friend had really been secretly recording me to steal business ideas. I gave one statement. The evidence speaks for itself. This isn't a personal dispute. This is systematic theft of trade secrets. The recordings prove everything. Maya's company released a statement denying everything, called the lawsuit baseless and an attack by a bitter competitor, claimed any similarities between our products were coincidental, but tech media got access to the court filings, got to see the evidence, the timeline, the recordings, the pattern. The narrative shifted fast from startup drama to holy shit, she actually recorded her friend for 5 years. Momentum Tech's investors started asking questions, started reviewing the products they'd funded, started realizing they'd invested in a company built on stolen IP. 3 investors pulled out within a week, demanded their money back, threatened their own lawsuits against Maya for fraud. Momentum Tech's valuation collapsed. The $12 million company became a liability overnight. Maya's lawyer contacted mine, wanted to negotiate, wanted to settle quietly before this got worse. No settlement, I told my lawyer. We go to trial. I want a verdict. She's offering to pay damages and shut down the competing products. That's a significant win. Not enough. I want the world to know what she did. I want a judge to say publicly that she stole from me. I want a verdict. Discovery was a bloodbath. The special master recovered everything from Momentum Tech's servers, emails, Slack messages, internal documents, development timelines. All of it confirmed the theft. Internal emails where Maya referenced Sarah's idea and that feature Sarah mentioned. Slack messages where developers asked, "Is this similar to Innovate Solutions product?" And Maya replied, "Don't worry about it." She'd been so confident she'd never get caught that she documented her own theft. We also found her journal, digital, password protected, but the special master got through it. Entry after entry about me, about our friendship, about the ideas I shared. February 2019, Sarah told me about her workflow prediction algorithm today. It's brilliant. I think I can build this at Momentum before she files her patent. She trusts me completely, makes this so easy. August 2020, coffee with Sarah. She's struggling with the client onboarding module, spent an hour explaining her approach, taking notes. Our dev team can have this built in 3 months. November 2022, Sarah suspects nothing. 5 years of this and she still tells me everything. Sometimes I feel guilty, but business is business. She'd do the same if positions were reversed. No, I wouldn't have. That was the thing Maya never understood. Not everyone operates without ethics. Her journal entries were damning, showed premeditation, showed she knew what she was doing was wrong, showed she'd calculated every step of the theft. My lawyer was ecstatic. This is prosecution-level evidence. We could pursue criminal charges with this. Can we? The recordings violated Washington's two-party consent law. That's a felony. The theft of trade secrets could be federal charges under the Economic Espionage Act. If you want to pursue criminal charges in addition to the civil suit, we have grounds. I thought about it. Criminal charges meant prison time, meant destroying Maya's life completely, meant she'd have a felony record, meant she'd be unemployable in tech. Do it, I told my lawyer. File criminal complaints. She didn't just steal from me. She committed crimes. She should face criminal consequences. The criminal investigation started 2 months after we filed the civil suit. Federal agents got involved. The FBI takes trade secret theft seriously, especially in tech. They interviewed me, took all my evidence, reviewed the recordings and journal entries, talked to my employees, my investors, my clients. They interviewed Maya's employees too. Several admitted they'd known the products were based on outside inspiration. One developer said directly, "We all knew Maya was getting ideas from someone else, we just didn't ask where." The indictment came down 4 months after I filed the civil suit. Federal charges: theft of trade secrets under the Economic Espionage Act, wire fraud for using electronic communications to facilitate the theft, violation of state wiretapping statutes. Maya arrested at her office, made the news. Tech founder arrested for corporate espionage, faces 15 years in federal prison. Her lawyer tried to get the charges dismissed, argued the evidence was obtained improperly, argued the recordings were in a gray area legally, argued I'd shared ideas voluntarily so there was no theft. None of it worked. The evidence was overwhelming. The recordings proved intent. The timeline proved systematic theft. The journal proved consciousness of guilt.
The civil trial started before the criminal trial. My lawyer wanted the verdict on record before the criminal proceedings. Wins in civil court strengthen criminal cases. The trial lasted 3 weeks. My legal team presented the evidence methodically. Day 1, the recordings, every device we'd found. Audio files playing in court. Maya's voice asking leading questions. My voice answering, trusting, sharing everything. Day 2, the timeline. Visual presentation showing each idea I'd shared, dated and documented. Momentum tax corresponding product launch. The pattern undeniable. Day 3, the financial impact. Expert witnesses testified about the market value of the stolen ideas, the revenue Momentum Tech had generated, the funding they'd raised, the opportunities I'd lost. Day 4 through 6, witness testimony, my employees, my investors, tech experts explaining how identical the products were, how unlikely parallel development would be. Day 7, Maya's journal, read aloud in court. Every entry about stealing from me, every acknowledgement that she knew it was wrong, every calculation of how to exploit my trust. The courtroom was silent. Even the judge looked disgusted. Maya's defense was weak. Her lawyers tried to argue that ideas can't be owned, that I'd shared information voluntarily, that similar products don't prove theft, but they couldn't explain the recordings, couldn't explain the journal, couldn't explain the perfect correlation between my disclosures and their launches. Cross-examination destroyed their case. "Ms. Chen, did you record Miss Sarah without her knowledge or consent?" Maya hesitated. Yes, but yes or no, Ms. Chen? Yes. Were you aware that Washington is a two-party consent state? Yes. So you knowingly violated the law by recording these conversations. I didn't think yes or no. Yes. And you used these illegal recordings to develop products at Momentum Tech. The products were our own work. Ms. Chen, we have your journal. You wrote, and I quote, "Sarah's workflow prediction algorithm is brilliant. I think I can build this at Momentum before she files her patent." That's not your own work. That's Ms. Sarah's work that you stole. I didn't steal. I was inspired by ideas you obtained through illegal recording of private conversations where Ms. Sarah explicitly trusted you as a friend, correct? Silence. Ms. Chen? Yes.
The jury deliberated for 6 hours, came back with a verdict that exceeded even my lawyer's expectations. Guilty on all counts: trade secret misappropriation, breach of fiduciary duty, fraud, unfair competition. Damages: $8.2 million in compensatory damages for lost revenue and opportunity, $15 million in punitive damages for willful and malicious conduct, $2.3 million in attorney's fees. Total, $25.5 million. More than Momentum Tech was worth, more than Maya had in assets, a judgment she'd never be able to pay. The injunction was immediate and comprehensive. Momentum Tech had to cease selling all products derived from my stolen ideas, had to destroy all code and documentation based on that IP, had to notify customers that the products were being discontinued. Momentum Tech collapsed within a month, couldn't operate without the stolen products. Investors sued Maya for fraud. Employees quit. The company filed for bankruptcy. Maya lost everything: the company, her reputation, her assets. Her freedom was still pending in the criminal trial. People asked if I felt guilty, if destroying my former best friend's life was worth it. I didn't feel guilty, I felt vindicated. Maya hadn't just stolen my ideas, she'd betrayed 15 years of friendship, had looked me in the eye for 5 years while systematically exploiting my trust, had built her entire success on my work while pretending to be my friend. That kind of betrayal doesn't deserve compassion, it deserves consequences. The criminal trial was faster. The civil verdict made the prosecution's case for them. Maya had already been found liable for theft. The criminal trial just had to prove criminal intent. With the journal entries and recordings, that was easy. The jury convicted her on all criminal counts: theft of trade secrets, wire fraud, violation of wiretapping laws. The judge's statement at sentencing was scathing. "Ms. Chen, you didn't just commit corporate espionage, you weaponized friendship. You turned one of the most fundamental human relationships, trust between friends, into a tool for criminal enterprise. You recorded private conversations illegally. You stole proprietary information systematically. You built a company on fraud, and you showed no remorse until you got caught. 7 years in federal prison, $5 million in additional restitution, 5 years supervised release after prison, permanent prohibition from working in tech in any executive capacity." Maya's lawyer filed appeals, all denied. The evidence was too clear, the intent too obvious, the damage too extensive. She's serving her sentence now. Federal prison in California. Minimum security, but still prison. Still locked up for 7 years because she couldn't resist stealing from her best friend.
It's been 18 months since I found the first recording device. 18 months since my best friend's betrayal became the biggest tech scandal of the year. Momentum Tech doesn't exist anymore, dissolved in bankruptcy. The assets were sold to pay creditors, the employees moved on to other jobs, the products were discontinued. The $25.5 million judgment is being paid slowly through asset liquidation and wage garnishment from Maya's future earnings. I'll probably never collect the full amount, but that was never the point. The point was consequences, public, severe, career-ending consequences. My company, Innovate Solutions, is thriving. Turns out, when you remove a corporate spy from your life and launch products without them being stolen first, business goes well. We've launched every product Maya stole, but now they're launched under my company, with my branding, with proper patents and protection, and they're successful. The VCs who said my ideas weren't novel enough, they came back, apologized, invested. We've raised $20 million, more than Momentum Tech ever got, based on the same ideas they'd rejected when they thought Momentum Tech was already doing them. I've been interviewed by every tech publication. The founder who caught her best friend's corporate espionage, how one woman's detective work exposed 5 years of IP theft, the friendship that became a federal case. Some people think I went too far, that I should have settled privately, that destroying Maya's life and pursuing criminal charges was excessive. But those people don't understand what it's like to be systematically betrayed by someone you love, to discover that 15 years of friendship was a cover for 5 years of exploitation. Maya knew what she was doing. The journal entries prove it. She calculated every step, knew it was wrong, did it anyway because she thought she'd never get caught. She thought my trust made me weak, made me a target, made me easy to exploit. She was wrong. My trust wasn't weakness. Her exploitation was. And once I knew the truth, I used every resource to ensure consequences. I got a letter from Maya 6 months ago, from prison. Her lawyer probably advised against sending it, but she did anyway. She wrote about how prison had given her time to reflect, how she understood now what she'd done was wrong, how she was sorry for betraying betraying our friendship. I convinced myself it was just business, she wrote, that everyone does this kind of thing in tech, that you'd never find out, that even if you did, you'd understand because we were friends. I was wrong about all of it. She wrote about losing everything, her company, her freedom, her reputation. Her family had disowned her. Her other friends had cut contact. She was completely alone. I know you'll never forgive me, she ended. I don't deserve forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what I destroyed. Not just your business, our friendship, your trust, things that mattered more than any product or company. I'm sorry I didn't see that until it was too late. I didn't respond because nothing she said changed what she'd done. Regret doesn't undo 5 years of theft. Apologies don't return the opportunities I lost while she was sabotaging me. But I kept the letter, filed it with all the other evidence from the case, proof that Maya finally understood the magnitude of her betrayal, even if that understanding came too late. People ask if I miss her, if I grieve the friendship we had. No, because the friendship we had was fake, built on lies. Maya wasn't my friend, she was my corporate spy. Everything we shared, everything I trusted her with, she was using against me. The real Maya, the one revealed in her journal and recordings, was someone I never knew, someone calculating and ruthless, someone who saw friendship as a tool for exploitation. I don't miss that person. I miss the idea of who I thought she was, but that person never existed. I've made new friends, other founders who understand the competitive pressures without resorting to theft, people who've proven trustworthy over time, people who don't secretly record our conversations. I'm more careful now, more guarded. I don't share proprietary information freely anymore. I have NDAs. I check for recording devices. I trust but verify. Some people think that's sad, that Maya ruined my ability to trust people, but I don't see it that way. I see it as learning, as adaptation, as becoming smarter about who deserves my trust and who doesn't. The tech community has been supportive. Other founders have shared their own stories of IP theft and corporate espionage. Turns out it's more common than people admit. Most cases don't go to trial because the evidence isn't clear or the victims don't want the publicity. But my case was different. The evidence was undeniable, and I wanted the publicity, wanted everyone to know what happens when you steal from your friends. The case has become a cautionary tale. Business schools teach it, corporate ethics courses reference it. The Momentum Tech case is shorthand for friendship-based corporate espionage. Maya's name is permanently associated with betrayal and theft. When you Google her, the first 100 results are about her case, about her arrest, about her conviction, about how she destroyed her life and company through systematic theft from her best friend. That's her legacy now. Not innovation, not entrepreneurship, corporate espionage and federal prison time. Meanwhile, my company grows. My products succeed. My reputation is as the founder who stood up for her IP and won. I've been asked to speak at conferences, to share my story, to help other founders protect themselves from similar theft. I always tell them the same thing. Document everything. Trust carefully, verify constantly, and if you discover betrayal, don't settle quietly. Pursue accountability publicly. Because people like Maya count on victims staying quiet, count on settlements with NDAs, count on the legal system being too slow or expensive to pursue. They count on you giving up. But I didn't give up. I fought, used every legal tool available, made sure the world knew what she'd done, and I won. Not just in court, in business, in life, in the long-term narrative. Maya is in prison. I'm building an empire on the ideas she tried to steal. That's not revenge, that's justice.